and welcome to the Houston Element Podcast. My name is Missy, and I'm your host. And today, I have the lovely pleasure to introduce the founder of the Garden independent label, and just so happens to be manager of the kiddos.
Just happens.
Capa Brown.
Thank you for inviting me to come on to the podcast. I'm excited to annoy people with the random facts about things. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem. I've been looking for an opportunity like this because I feel like a lot of people don't really discuss like the business aspect of like what the music industry is and nowadays, and especially now that everything's getting a lot more simple for like independent artists and all that. I feel like it's really important for like everybody to know what, like they could accomplish with, the roles that they have. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%, man. I mean, I read a book about copyright laws for entertainment, and my mind was on the floor. It was overwhelming.
Yeah.
So it's a real pleasure to have someone from your standpoint to be here with us today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So can you tell us about why you got into the music industry, especially in your particular role in the music industry?
Well, my journey with music has been one that's like serious and not so serious throughout the years. I pretty much started like I first started making beats. That was my first thing. Like I had this old busted speaker every time I plug in my iPhone, and it was the iPhone 3GS. Let me add that.
Oh, wow.
So this was so it was the iPhone 3GS. I had GarageBand in there, and then I would plug it in, and every time I plug it in, I hear a little zzz kind of sound. So I would just kind of like, mess around with that. I met some people in high school that they were like, yeah, I'm trying to be a rapper. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. And like, to me personally, that always seemed kind of like, okay, good luck with that, dude, But then I kind of like, I would hear him how he would talk about it. And the way he would talk about it would make me motivated to be like, oh man, yeah, I want to do something like that, So he would like talk about it. He would be like, yeah, man, because like I'm here in the studio. I do this, I record a song, and then I have my song, and then he'll show me his music, and I'll be like, yo, that's kind of cool. Like you kind of came with a concept, and then you finished with a finished product and stuff like that. So I started making beats and all that. Eventually, I started getting connected with people around the neighborhood. I started, sending beats to people. I started just pretty much trying to upgrade my sound. I got a little computer in which I, make beats. And I was known as the beat maker at the time, probably like, I want to say like maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe. And I was like the neighborhood beat maker. Everybody would be like, oh, hey, Irvin, I need a beat. I was like, yeah, here you go. Here's a beat. I'll send everybody a beat. And then I went through a little phase in my life where I had gotten kicked out of my house, actually.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I ended up staying with one of my friends, and he's a really good friend, and his family, amazing family. They took me in. They pretty much were like, this is your house as well. So I stayed with them, and then he always was like infatuated with the whole hip hop kind of thing, and I was getting into it because I was the kind of kid that was like, I'm gonna listen to everything. I don't really care what it is, as long as it's good. I'm gonna be listening. I was listening to like the Killers, but at the same time, I'll go on and put some Mexican music, and then I'll put some like metal, kind of thing. And then immediately afterwards, I'll put Biggie and stuff like that. So like I was kind of all over the place. And then like just watching them, and they would do certain activities that, I may not condone anymore. So while they were doing that, they would be freestyling, saying all this, stuff. And I'll be like, yo, that's crazy. I want to do that. I want to try it. Let me give it a shot. And I started writing myself. I started getting a little bit more into it. As I started getting more into it, I started to realize like, yo, I could actually make money off of this. Because this was at the time where like BeatStars was like blowing up. And for the people who don't know what BeatStars is, it's like a website where like producers could go upload their music, and then they could start getting royalties from it. They could start, getting money off of it. So the whole YouTube beat wave started to come out, the lo-fi beats and all the type beats and all that started to come out. So we would just have fun, just making music here and there, here and there. And then I was trying to take it a little bit more seriously. I was starting to like look into it and all that. And then at the time, I guess it was kind of the same mentality as back in the day. It was like, got to find a label to be able to, like do all this stuff. And I found it a lot more difficult to be able to put yourself in a position to where you could put your music out there and people would like listen to it, yes, but you would also get paid for it. And the stats for Spotify back in the day were crazy. Like if you think getting 0.0001 penny right now is bad, just look at the stats from back in the day where it was 0.0000001% out of a penny, right? So it was really, really hard. And I just like kind of just like I took a break. I started researching, like, okay, so as a producer, how do I make money as a producer, And then I was like, as an artist, how do I make money as an artist? And then I started seeing all the different components of it, like registering to a pro, registering to like, a distribution and trying to get into that kind of like aspect. And then I think that's around the time where I was like, a lot of people aren't going to have the time to be able to do this, especially if they're like me, where work, music. So that kind of schedule doesn't allow you for like any research, additional research or anything like that. Especially if like you're brand new to everything, it's kind of hard for you to be like, oh yeah, let me look up a pro that I could turn up. Cause I feel like me just saying pro right now, a lot of people are going, what's that? So it was just pretty much a lot of information gathering for me at the time. I was trying to collect as much information as I could. Right now in my house, I have probably more than 20 something notebooks worth of like just insight and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, just notes, like endless amount of notes of just all of this stuff. I started pretty much just being like, I guess I'm gonna help people because like I had told you right before we record, I'm like, I'm not the type of person that wants to be on camera and stuff like that. I don't like the attention. I really don't. I like at this point right now, my music is more like, because I do make music as well, but that's more for me. It's like a hobby. I actually do treat it as a hobby. I don't treat it as my career. But I wanted to help the people that actually did. I got introduced to my friend by a mutual friend. His name is Damien. The friend that I got introduced to, his name is Leron. He was basically pretty much the first person that I would ever like start working with in that capacity. And just working with him alone, it really inspired me to be like, you know what? We need something here in Houston where it's like you feel comfortable enough to create, and you know for a fact that like you just creating alone is gonna be enough because I'm here to help. Like I'm not gonna do everything. I'm gonna say that right now. I'm not. We're not a label in the sense of like, oh, we're gonna do everything for you, but give us a cut of your money, right? Like you keep 100% of whatever you earn. I don't touch any of that. The only thing is, I'm gonna teach you how to do it. I'm gonna show you what you have to do. So by the time that you're done working with me, you know what a pro is. You know how to get your distribution, you know how to book your shows, you know how to do all this. So like the main thing about us is like independence. It's like truly independent. So you don't have to worry about Sony Digital doesn't want to give me my advance because X, Y, and Z, or they want to keep my advance because X, Y, and Z and all that. So it's like I started gravitating more towards like legitimate independence rather than co-signing or like having a deal with the label, distribution deal with the label and stuff like that, because I feel like that's way too complicated. Most of the business executives have no reason to be talking to hip-hoppers, like most of them have no reason being in the music industry. So it's like if we learn how to do that by ourselves, we're going to see a lot more success rather than depending on other people for our success and stuff like that. And then it gives you the ability to build your team. So that's just kind of like, in a sense, giving back to the community. You're giving back to the people who are around you. That's giving back to like the people who like, kind of almost supported you since day one, So it's like you have a friend and he's like the real chatty type. You're like, hey, help me put out the word. So now that's your A&R, that's your promoter, you know? So like now you're building your own little team, and now you're like more confident in what you do and how you do it and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what gravitated me towards doing this, is just kind of seeing the environment that the business really is in, and I'm trying to take it out of that and make it seem more like, I don't know what the term would be, but I guess make it more independent, make it more like localized, make it more like you yourself are taking care of things, and you don't have to worry about a whole 40 different other people that have 40 different jobs to do, that you have probably met like 5 of those people, you know? And that's how labels have always worked in that kind of sense. And that's pretty much has been like my main focus since then.
Excellent, excellent. So kind of in a way, you're like a more elevated YMCA, but for music. It's like you have the resources there, you have the support there, but you got to come and do the work.
You have to come in and do the work. Like nobody's gonna do the work for you, because I mean, if you can't come in and put in the work to like record a song, even, what makes you think that you're gonna be able to go and book these shows, go to the tours, and be able to complete the tours and do all this, all that? Because that's a whole different ballgame from just, hey, I wrote these songs, I'm gonna record them, I'm gonna get the beats off of YouTube and stuff like that. You know, it's a very completely, it's different. It's not even the same. Like, I feel like there is a disconnect right there between like people that see the finished product, quote unquote, the finished product, you know, and then like the beginning stages, and they just want to jump to that already, and they forget that there's this whole part that they don't, you know, like merchandising, who's going to do your merchandise and all that stuff, you know? So like a lot of people miss out on that. So like, yeah, we just try to pretty much have the tools for the artists, but we try to teach them how to use those tools. So that way one day, I don't want to keep people. Like, I don't want to hold anybody back. I don't want to be like holding them for ransom and be like, you owe me this much before you could be, you know, whatever. So like I always tell my artists, I'm like, as soon as you feel like, hey, I learned enough, I think I got it by myself, go ahead. I will still help you at whatever capacity I can, but there's no animosity from my end. I want you to succeed. If you feel like, you know, you're in a position where, you know, you could go ahead and do bigger stuff on your own, by all means, you know, like go ahead, you know, I won't get mad. I won't be throwing out a diss track or anything like that, you know? So that's the main focus, is just helping people. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful, man. That's very, you know, that's very real. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it.
So you mentioned like you got all these notes and things like that. So how did you first started to try to build the garden?
Well, it was a process, and I have wonderful friends to thank. First of all, a lot of people that, you know, kind of like gave me ideas, that kind of like brought certain stuff to my attention and all that. I was doing community work for an organization. I don't know how I feel about naming them, because I'm not in the best of terms with them right now, but I used to work for this organization, and I guess if you know, you know, but it's kind of like the largest youth-led organization here in Houston that like helps like immigrants and stuff like that. And I used to, you know, work for them and help around, and then I met this wonderful person. Her name is Norma, and she was supportive from the beginning. So at the time where I met her, I was just like, I'm just trying to do things by myself. I mean, I got my friend Trey here, but you know, like we got it. Like we don't need to do anything else besides, you know, like taking care of our kind of like our ends, basically, right? And she was like, oh yeah, but like you have ideas, whatever, like let me help you. And then with whatever it is that I needed, she would help me. Like she helped me make my first show, like probably like 3-4 years ago. She helped with that. She literally sat me down, brought out a notebook, and literally wrote everything for me. She did everything for me. And from then on, I was just kind of like, you know what, like if she believes in me, I know I could like, you know, gather up more people that believe in the same ideas and the same concepts, and kind of like build this a lot bigger. And then, you know, the universe has a way of putting everything together. I just started like immediately meeting all these people that just kind of were like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I need. Let me help you out or whatever. Or like let me be part of it and stuff like that. So now we have a really nice roster, I would like to say. And we have a lot of artists, and like most of these artists, I consider them like really, really good friends of mine. I consider them almost family, like they are family basically. So it's like it's been a journey, yes, but it's kind of been like everything falling together, and at the same time it's been very meticulously planned. The idea for it, like I said, has always been helping people, helping people, helping people. And as I continue to like learn more about the industry, I started seeing more stuff that like, oh, maybe we should start learning how to do this, or maybe we should start learning how to do that. So I would I would go in those directions, while my artist had the only direction of like just create. Don't worry about all the other BS. Just create, and that's pretty much just like our beginnings.
I'm so jealous of those people that can just like sit there and create. They don't have to worry about the other stuff. Lucky ducks.
Yeah, not really though. Yeah.
But I ain't complaining.
Right.
So, okay. So when you were talking about building up the garden, so what obstacles did you face, if any, when you were starting with the production?
All of them. No, it's a really how do I put it? I guess because I don't want to discourage people and tell them, oh no, it's very, very hard. But like I did have a hard time, like myself. I'm not the best of student. I wasn't really like an A+ kind of guy in school. I was more like C average. So I feel like for us kind of people, we kind of find it a little hard to kind of like find information, retain information, and then re-explain that kind of information. So it's like I had a lot of issues with that, just trying to like vocalize what I had learned and then try to like, repeat it back. Putting everything in practice, because I never asked any of my artists for money. I never told them, hey, you owe me this much because I helped you with this. So like everything that we've been doing has been coming out of my pocket. Like I've been putting in the budget basically. So like everything has been coming out of my pocket. At the same time, I want to help people, but at the same time, I'm my own person. I have my own expenses. I have things that I want to accomplish as well outside of all of this. So that's where some limitations come in and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just really like just stay determined and plan out your finances really well. And stay with people who like really support you. Stay with people who are actually, there to like bring you up, but bring themselves up at the same time. Here in Houston, there's a lot of like, not that like if you go to New York, everybody in New York, the New York music scene. The New York music scene is famous, like over there in LA, it's famous over there. But like you come to Houston and then like you name the people and you say, well, we got UGK and we got Zero and we got Scarface. Yeah, that was like a couple years ago, but like if you name Atlanta, you name California, you name New York, you could, some youngsters, you could bring up names just like that. So we that's where we lack. I feel like is where we don't really have that connectivity to the mainstream, so to say. And that kind of is an obstacle sometimes because from the perspective of artists, you start looking at these different places and you're like, hey, how come we don't have that? How come we don't have that? But like, one thing I would say for artists here in Houston is like, look at the environment and see what we have, see what you can do and fill that void in order for us to get to that level of like, Atlanta is known for this and then Houston's known for this and stuff like that. Like it's been a while since we've been known for something, since DJ Screw, Chop and Screw and all that. So like since then we haven't really been known for much, and then the people who do come out of this, and maybe it's a little controversial, but the people who do blow up out of this, like Travis Scott, he's living in Calabasas right now, so, it's not really like a lot of hometown heroes, so to say, here in the area. So it gets a little bit discouraging, I would say, for artists, looking at that and be like, we don't have that much big of a field to play and all that. So those have been some obstacles right there. It's just finances, getting the right people together, and don't start looking at other people and be like, I don't have that. Why don't I have that? Because then you get discouraged, So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like I was saying before we did this, it's like you don't need a Neumann microphone
Yeah.
to have a good quality microphone. Okay. Look at the Shure SM58. I mean, you can watch a video on YouTube and somebody literally shot it with a shotgun and it still worked. Okay.
Right. So there's a lot of stuff out here. Like what I tell my artists as well, I'm like, you don't have to know how to use every single piece of software. You don't have to know how to use every piece of hardware. As long as you know the basics of it, if you know that you're in a microphone and you're standing in front of a microphone 6 feet, I mean, not 6 feet, 6 inches away from the mic,
right,
you're going to get some good sound, like it doesn't matter what kind of mic it is. If you have your distance to it, if you know how to use a compressor, it's universal. You could use a compressor in Pro Tools or in FL Studio or whatever. So as long as you understand your basics, it doesn't really matter what you have and stuff like that. But again, that comes with the journey of trying to like get to a certain level within your artistry and all that.
Yeah, it's about not being afraid of tripping.
Yeah.
You gonna trip, but doesn't mean you fall.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna come back.
Yeah, you got to pick yourself up, and then how you act and react to that's going to be the defining moment. That's going to be pretty much what's going to dictate your future and all that.
Oh God, yes. Attitude. Yeah. Attitude is everything.
Yes, man. It really is.
Oh, man. So as you were mentioning, you have a good list of artists under your label now, including, but not limited to, Sonic Wallpaper, The Kiddos, which was a previous guest, I Love Paris, Janae. Yeah. Janae.
Yes.
I keep trying to do French like I know how to speak French. I don't know any French. Okay. All right. Loose Change, DJ Scarn, and one of my good friends, Rob FS. Okay. So how did you first start to build up your clientele list?
So it's just pretty much like I said, it's been me this whole time, just kind of doing it, kind of like solo in a way. But like I said, if you have a good system of people that are around you and stuff like that, they'll introduce you to people that they believe in, and if they believe in them enough, it makes me kind of believe in them. Everybody that has come onto the roster has come on to us because they reached out to us, or I reached out to them because, I like their sound. They're usually like just starting off, we're not looking to get all the, locally famous people, and then try to get them on and then just try to blow up like that. Like we genuinely do want to help. So all the people that, we've came up with are people that, we believe in, we see something in them. So like, we want to kind of like help them bring that up and then kind of, like do the best they can and all that,
Right on, man. Right on, man. I respect that, man. So what sort of thing, you kind of already told us a little about this, but I'll ask you anyways. So what sort of things does your label offer its client that makes it stand out above the rest?
Merchandise. Nobody beating me on that.
Yeah?
Nobody. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get a little, but yeah, no, merchandising, that's a lot of moolah right there.
Yeah.
A lot of moolah. And people like really don't recognize or realize that. I mean, when you go to the show, how much you get paid for the show. If you do get paid, how much do you get paid? You sell them T-shirts, you sell probably 25 of them shirts, you end up leaving with like, an extra $200, $250. That doesn't sound a lot right now, but when you're a starting artist and you need to get that material, you need to get those, like a studio time, or you need to be able to, have some kind of budget in order to make that music video and stuff like that. Those $250 go a long way. They go a long way. So like, they could just come to me with a question and I'll be like, here you go. Here's your answer. Here's what you got to do and all that. So it's like, I don't charge them to make the shirts. I don't charge them anything. The only thing is like you have to buy the shirts, because it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I just ask for them to like buy their shirts, and then if they buy their shirts, I'll go out and I'll print out everything for them. We take a little, let's say $100 investment, $50 investment, and we turn it into something bigger. That way they can use that. And then, like I said, I will never ask my artists to be like, so how much you sold? Let me have a little cut of that. It's all of them. It's strictly for them so that they could continue developing, their, fan base or their equipment, or they want to save up for a video or something like that. Yeah.
And so speaking of merchandise, because I grew up, around the time when my favorite thing to go to the merchandise thing was for CDs.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately, with, digital streaming, things like that, CDs aren't as offered in merch tables. But what have you seen that is the most in demand right now? I would imagine t-shirts and sweaters.
T-shirts. Definitely t-shirts. You can never go wrong with a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
You can never go wrong with a t-shirt. A t-shirt goes a long way. It's a bit universal.
Yeah.
As long as you have a torso, you can wear a t-shirt. Most cars nowadays don't even have CD players.
Yeah.
So it's like I heard in the grapevine people speaking about vinyls, and vinyls are making a comeback and all that. Please don't spend your money on vinyls. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Because the people who actually don't have vinyls, they're probably going to buy it one time. And I'm sure you're not going to be selling a $15 vinyl, $20 vinyl. Because if we're here in as far as like local artists are concerned and stuff like that, it's okay to have a big head. It's okay to think that, you could actually put out a $15 vinyl and people are going to buy it, but you're probably going to sell 3 or 4. It's not going to cover the cost of what you put out there for promotion, buying the equipment, and, getting the album art, commissioned and all that. So I'll say just stick to t-shirts, stick to clothing. Clothing is very profitable as far as, like what people want and what people like and all that.
Oh, yeah. Because I know I never go to a show without leaving without a t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so what is a normal work day for you like? Do you have to wear different hats throughout the day, or do you have like your main itinerary that you work on?
It just really depends on like what I have to do throughout the day. There's even like sometimes there's weeks where I'm like, I don't want to hear anything that's concerning artistry or music or anything like that. Like I just want to watch, I don't know, cartoons on TV, because I still watch cartoons, by the way, So like there's some times where I just want to watch a good movie, some cartoons, hang out, eat some food, and then just kind of like de-stress in a way. But like whenever I am in that kind of groove of like, let's get to work, I'm usually just like trying to get more research, trying to figure out, okay, like the information that I have was good 2-3 years ago, but is it still valid now? And if I'm telling my artists this stuff, is it still current to what is happening? I'm just trying to research more levels of basically just trying to elevate us to a different position. We are a label, but we're not a label. We're more of a collective. So I want that to kind of like start building on its own. I have a lot of plans for the future, but they all take like meticulous planning and all that stuff. So like, I think that we were going to talk about this, about the stream that we have. That was a thing that I'm trying to do right now. It's just pretty much like creating an online stream for all the Houston artists, only Houston artists, put that around and stuff like that. And then another thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to make live content. And when I say live, I don't mean like live and direct. I mean like real live, people interacting and stuff like that. We want to make sure that we are highlighting Houston culture, because that's what we're kind of doing it for. We're doing it for Houston. We're not necessarily doing it for, yes, our gains, it comes with it, but morely to bring the city and bring that up, because the main mission statement has always been, getting that Houston underground to that level of like, oh man, they're listening to us all the way in New York and stuff like that. Like to me, that will be the ultimate compliment. the ultimate compliment. If people from, in New York, in the boroughs, they're over here like, yeah, this Houston artist, blah, 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 blah. Like that, I'm a hip hop head.
Yeah.
So to me, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So like I'm just trying to research stuff. I'm just trying to figure out, like what's the best way to, get things done. Most of the time I'm just like either mixing music, mastering music. I'm just trying to like write myself some stuff. I'm trying to make beats. I'm just trying to like trying to do the whatever I can and stuff like that. There's no necessarily like sure thing that I have to get done and stuff. It's mostly just like what has to get done. I'm gonna do what has to get done, but after that, I'm not gonna overextend myself and keep on working because that's how you burn out easily. So.
Oh yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding.
Yeah.
So your artists have performed all over Houston, including venues like BFE Rock Club, Axelrad, and the Kick Bar. So what is the process for getting your artists in connection with these venues?
So our artists, they're really good at doing that by themselves. Like they understand that it's a networking kind of game. They understand that like the more people the easier it is to, kind of find yourself in these positions where you're playing at these, events and all that. So I try to book shows. I haven't done it as often because of COVID. We got out of COVID and then, my mind just went somewhere else as far as like what the garden was going to be and all that. So like I haven't really done a lot of shows. The last one was at the Kickback Bar. Sorry. And that one is just pretty much just like reaching out to people, reaching out to the community and stuff like that. And just trying to see like how you could make a deal with them to make it, both profitable for them and for you as well. But like, I will say the kiddos, they're really good at getting their own shows. They're good at networking and all that stuff. Like they come to me sometimes, so they'll ask me like, hey, like, we haven't been doing this. What do you think we should do in order to offset that? I'll be like, you should probably do this, and then like I'll help them in that capacity, like with their merchandise and all that. But like artists like the kiddos, I really don't have to be behind them on that. Like, oh, hey, I need to get you some shows because you haven't gotten any shows in a while and stuff like that. Like, they're really good at doing that on their own.
That's good. So you kind of encourage them a little bit, kind of like, kind of like a father goose a little bit. Like, you can talk to them. They're not going to hurt you.
Yeah. Because, like, my thing is, if you know the DJs, it's a lot easier for you to find the venues.
Oh, yeah.
If you know the bar owners, it's even better for you to get that, venue booked for like half the price even. There's a venue, no names mentioned, but they were trying to charge me $800 for about 4 hours. That's a big no. Yeah, exactly. So it's like if you have that kind of relationship with like owners and like DJs and stuff like that, like it'll be a lot easier. So that's why I say like it's a networking kind of game. It's like get in front of people, talk to people, get in front of as many people as you can and be able to like talk to them. Because you never know. Maybe there's somebody all alone in the corner of the room and then turns out they're the ones that own a venue over here somewhere else, So it's like it's always good to communicate with people. It's always good to like talk to people and, see what they're like, what they're about. Because I mean, it kind of helps you as an artist to get inspired as well, but it also gets you, those networking points as well.
Yeah, don't discredit anybody. You want to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Even if you think, quote unquote, that they're, small.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to just talk to the tour manager. Talk to the stagehands too, because the stagehands have seen some things.
Yeah.
Shout out to my people at Outstage GAV. Okay, they've seen some things.
Yeah. And those are the people usually that will tell you like, oh, you're thinking about performing where? Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. You know, and then they'll give you the proper advice that you would probably need. And then that's coming from somebody who has a hand in those kind of environments. So it's like, it's always good to talk to people like in that capacity, like kindergarten rules, treat people like you want to be treated, especially as artists. If you want people to revere you and you want people to like be like, oh yeah, what a cool guy. be that. Be a cool guy. Go talk to people. Be nice. Be polite to people. Like, I mean, obviously, if somebody does something to make you upset, that's on you how you react to that. I'm not condoning anything, but that's on you.
Yeah.
So like, but as long as you keep that positive attitude, as long as you're over here, with, hey, how you doing? Did you like the show? Did you enjoy the show? Oh, thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it. What's your name? Oh, that's awesome. That's a great name. Anyways, do you have a social media? I would like to stay more, in touch with you. Maybe you could check out our next show that's coming now. We have a merch table over there, by the way. I don't know. I think, what are you, like a medium? Let's get you a medium. And then you just kind of take them and stuff like that. Like, you got to be sociable and be able to network with these people, but be a good person while you do it.
Yeah. I mean, like I had told some people before, I was like, starting the podcast, like off the record, I have a mouth that can make a sailor blush. But that does not mean I want to present myself like that on a professional platform that I'm inviting guests to come on to speak professionally to, It's all about creating an atmosphere for people to feel comfortable, to feel safe, and where they can create.
Yeah. So yeah, like I completely agree with that. Like you don't want to show up and then start, being this over the top person, and they're like, bro, you just performed in a crowd of 30 people. Like, why are you acting this way? So like it puts off a lot of people, and being a good person, it really does go a long way, especially whenever you're doing, like these kind of occasions where you're like having to be, in front of people and you have to talk to people, and then you're depending on people for your income. Yeah.
Yeah. Be sweet, y'all.
Yeah.
So you're also actively promote your other artists online. Your artist concerts online. So what is the process for promoting your artist shows once the performance agreement has been made? Like, is there any venues that are like particular about streaming things or sharing things?
To my knowledge, there hasn't been any situations like that. In the future, we do plan on having, like, shows that are being streamed and all that, but that's in the near future. That's not anytime near, and they'll be done by us. So like, there really wouldn't be that kind of communication. As far as like, we would just ask permission pretty much, and then that would pretty much be the end of it. But we do have people that are like, hey, send us your post so we could help you promote and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it. As far as like when you start local, it's not really that big of like a deal if you don't really know how to promote yourself, especially if you're starting off. But like, I would say once you hit that like 1,000 mark on your Instagram or on your Spotify, you have probably like, let's say 600 monthly listeners around that time. That's the time whenever you need to start like getting serious with all this. With other projects and stuff like that, I've had to do promotion, especially with the radio. Like with the radio, it was a lot of Facebook ads and stuff like that. And for the people who don't know what Facebook ads are, look into it. I will literally talk for 4 hours about this. So just to save time, I would just suggest everybody go look up Facebook ads, see what what they can do. Basically, Facebook ads, they're amazing. They're amazing. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
So, hot topic. As a record label owner, it is possible you may have met artists who were less than business savvy when it comes to contracts and or agreements, like you mentioned earlier. So what advice would you have for your artists who are concerned about handling contracts or agreements with labels for their first time?
Don't do it. Honestly. Like, I know it sounds like a horrible thing to tell somebody, like, no, don't do it. But like, honestly, if you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, don't get yourself in that situation. That's how you end up owing Puff Daddy. I'm sorry. You end up owing Puff Daddy $500,000 and you can't get out of it because there's interest to that and stuff like that. Like, labels are banks. That's what they are. They're nothing more than banks. They're just financing your artistry, so to say, right? So they're putting out money, and if they don't get that money in return, I'm sorry, but you work for them now.
This is fact. This is
Yeah.
fact. I'm not going to mention the name of the individual or the label, but this artist was a YouTuber, released a single, got millions of hits, got
Right.
signed with this big label, went on one tour,
Mm-hmm.
and then crickets.
Yeah.
And 8 years later, they're like, I owe this company $800,000,
Yeah.
and I don't have the rights to my own song anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's what happens.
When you just want to sign it
Yeah.
without reading it, that's
Yeah.
what happens.
Because the money's attractive to a lot of people.
Mhm.
And then especially if those people are coming from certain circumstances,
Mhm.
they see that money and they're like, "Oh, I made it.
Yeah.
I made it." But
Yeah.
they don't like. It's not necessarily that they're not smart enough to get a lawyer, but they're just not. They're confident enough in what they're doing and what's happening, and then to them it's a blessing, you know.
Mhm.
So it's easier for them to overlook. Like, I need to get myself a business lawyer. I need to get myself, you know, a manager that could, you know, handle all of this stuff. I need to be able to have this kind of team. And it's usually, like I said, you bring your homeboys and then they don't even know what's happening. And then you're over here in this environment where you're spending, you know, hundreds of dollars every day. And then you, like you said, you go on tour and then you end up owing all these people, all this different kinds of money because you spent everything that was supposed to be a quote unquote loan, you know, like
Yeah.
your advance. And like, if you're starting off and the label's approaching you and they're trying to tell you, come on, sign, we'll give you 500,000, we'll give you $1 million, we'll give you 100,000. Don't do it. It's entrapment. That's what it is. It really is. And it's like, if you don't know like how to own your music rights, if you don't know how to negotiate with the label and be like, I will keep my music, my masters are mine. You help me with publishing and then you get to keep, let's say, X% out of my publishing, and then that's the deal we're gonna have.
Mhm.
Like, if you don't know how to do that, the labels are gonna like take advantage of you and they're gonna just pretty much use you until you're dried out, can't use you anymore, and then that's it, you know. So it's always important, like it's important to like always learn the business first. And that's like, go back to the what I was saying earlier, you know, is like, if you know the business aspect of it, it's easier for you to navigate this. And then, you know, like if one of my artists, let's say in the future, like Universal approaches them, you know, I feel like they would be savvy enough to be like, okay, let's talk about distribution. Let's talk about publishing. Let's see about, you know, this advance. How are we going to, you know, tour my music rights and all that. So I feel like they would have that capacity, but like somebody starting off, they're just going to hear, how much? Okay, where do I sign?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not to be a dickhead or anything. It's not to like discourage anybody, but like if you're just starting off and you have no idea, like the only thing you know how to do is write a song, please don't.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for example, if you had an artist that were to approach you and there was some type of document that needed to be signed and they
Mhm.
say, well, you know, I don't really understand it. I want to have my legal advisor overview it with me first.
Right.
Is that a common practice for you in your industry? If they say they want to get their legal advisor to explain it to them?
Yes and no. It should be, but it's not.
Okay.
Right. So I explain everything to my artists, and they haven't really came across something like that. And the way I made the garden right now, so it's like, since they're starting off, if they were to get into any sort of legal trouble, the garden would absorb that and we would handle that as the company and not necessarily as the individual, you know. So it's like, right now, I guess they have that, like this kind of like force field around them where it's like, they could go ahead, handle their business, do what they got to do. And then I'm just taking care of like the background stuff and all that. If they ever get into any legal trouble, I've been studying this thing for like 6, 7, 8 years. I forget. Time is nothing to me anymore. So it's like, I've been doing this for a long time. I feel like I would have enough, you know, wits to be able to, you know, communicate with the labels and, you know, have that kind of discussion. Or if there's any legal, you know, stuff that we got to take care of, like we would be able to. But for the most part, like I'm really good at telling my artists, no YouTube beats. Make sure you clear out your samples. Make sure you know all this, all that. So like, if you were able to talk to all my artists, they would tell you how annoying I am whenever it comes to this stuff. Like I'm literally always blabbing about this stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent, man. And so what kind of criteria is important to you when it comes to deciding whether to sign an artist or to bring on an artist under your label?
Their work ethic. How bad do they want to work? It doesn't matter how much they know. It matters how much effort they're willing to put into this, because I could teach you everything that you got to know. I could show you everything. I don't want to give too much away right now, but I'm working on our Spanish side of the garden, and we have a couple artists, and like one of them, he's really talented. He's really good, but he's still at the process of, he's trying to figure out how to write a song. He's still at the process of trying to figure out how to, navigate through the industry and all that stuff. So like what I tell him is like, just be patient, figure out like what you got to do right now. Like, figure out how you as an artist, you want to sound and all that. And then we'll take care of the rest in the future. Like we'll keep on working on this, and we'll keep on, building up on it and all that. So it's like, I'm not really looking for them to be able to tell me like, oh, what is that? Is that a 4/4 over a 120 BPM? What key is that? That's a D minor. Oh, did you put my metadata on that? What's the ISRC code on that? So I could follow it up. Like, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for the people who are constantly calling my phone. They're like, hey, can I come in? Can I come in? Do you have some time today? Can I come in? I'm like, yeah, come on. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people who are willing to put in the work, because as far as artistry goes, I believe that anybody could do it. It doesn't matter who you are. Anybody could do it. Like there may be some genre specifics that you might need to, fill out in order to get onto certain kind of projects, but like other than that, like it's just pretty much work ethic. It's how much you're willing to put in, and what you put in is what you get in return. So that's pretty much criteria. That's it. How hard do you work?
Facts. Okay. And not to make any enemies over here, but the only kind of artistry I think that takes a little bit more than just wanting to do it is Mongolian throat singing.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to the Who. That's H-U, not 70s Who, but shout out to the Who. If you've never heard Mongolian throat singing, you need to go see these guys with Mastodon. They're coming on tour. Worth every penny.
Oh, yeah.
But that's something that you need to, go to the temple and like learn how to do and practice. I'm sorry.
You got to go to the extremes of the planet to be able to figure that out.
Yeah. But other than that, yes, if you want it, it's yours.
Yeah, basically. Like it doesn't matter what genre, as long as it's not, like I said, there's very few genres that are very specific, like within the criteria that you got to meet for them. But other than that, like anybody could do that. Everybody could, go ahead and make music and stuff like that. I make music, but I don't consider myself an artist. Like my journey has been like making very, very cheesy songs to like making music where I feel like confident in. I'm like, I like this a lot. I would find myself listening to this all the time. And it's not just because I wrote it, but it's because I actually enjoy it and stuff like that. I put my producer ear on and I'm like, yeah, I like that, so anybody can make music, anybody.
Like what a wise engineer once told me. He said, it's not so much about what I hear, it's about what I feel.
Yeah.
He's like, if I feel moved by it, sitting behind the desktop just while my artist is behind the booth doing whatever they're doing, I know we're in the right place.
Right. And honestly, that goes in hand with like the people who make beats and they sample records. Most of them, they aren't going for like what they heard. Most of them are going for what the section makes them feel. So if you feel like this loop moved you and it made you feel this kind of way, that's your loop right there. That beat is going to be fire. Yeah,
for sure. For sure, man. So you have a wide variety of artists who all have different needs, as you're explaining. So what type of techniques or practices do you do to help to meet everybody's needs?
Just open door. Basically, it's like an open door policy, whatever you need, like I'll be able to do it if it's within my capacity, because I'm also not going to be lying to my artist and tell them, yeah, I could do this for you. And then like I'm struggling to do it or something like that. So I try to be as open with them as I can. If they ask me, they're like, hey, I want to do a video over here and I want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. Sometimes I'll be like, yo, honestly, that's not very realistic of you. That's not something that we'll be able to do and stuff like that. So it's like, I will work with them to be able to achieve that goal, but I will let them know the entire time, hey, look, I think this is something that's going to take its time, whatever, like it's going to need all of these different components and all this. So it's like, every artist, like you said, has a different need and all that. So everybody's going to have different questions. They're all not going to be the same. They all have different capacities in which they already know certain stuff. So it's like, I know for a fact that like somebody like LeBron is not going to ask me the same questions as my new Spanish artist is, asking me. So it's going to be different levels of, like answers and, knowledge that I got to give to them. So it's like, for me to not overextend myself, it's just pretty much open door. Because like one big thing about me is just pretty much just like stay within your means, stay with what you can work, and don't try to overexceed that because you start burning out. And once you start burning out, you can't do a lot of things. And like if you're an artist, like you stop feeling inspired. I mean, you stop feeling inspired. You stop feeling like you're doing your 100%. You don't even feel like going to perform anymore. You don't even feel like doing certain kind of stuff, So it's like, take it slow, like with my artists, they'll come in. I got a question. I got an answer, we'll figure it out. And then, we'll move on from there.
Right on, Ryan. Right on, man. And so you had started a radio show of your own called Space City Radio.
Mhm.
So when and how did you start this project?
We started early this year. I've been planning it for a while. A lot of people have been asking me, how'd you do it? I'm not telling. I'm sorry, everybody. I am so sorry, but no, I'm not telling. It's a project that's pretty much built for like, getting the community together and stuff like that. And not saying that I don't trust people enough, but I feel like if it was to be a common practice, then it would take a lot away from like what the original idea and concept of the radio is to promote Houston artists, and you would just have people who are just putting music just to put out music, and then that takes away from like actually building the city and then bringing it up to a certain level. Like I said, like that New York kind of level or that Atlanta kind of level, that Chicago level or LA kind of level. So it's like, everything that we do in the garden, it's for the betterment of the city. Like, yes, I do prioritize my artists, sorry. But at the same time, like we want to do this for the city. We just don't want to do it just so we have a little money in our pocket and, we call it quits and we move to Albany or something. I don't know. Yeah.
So it's not just 6 songs in the same playlist over and over again. You got a good variety of songs on your playlist.
Yes. Unfortunately, though, we did have to put it on pause. I'm trying to create it to a way where it's like it's multi-stream, so you could be on Twitch, you could be on YouTube, you could be on Facebook and all that. But that's very, very difficult for the tech people out there listening. If you have any advice, please let me know. But it's really hard. Right now, what I can say is that a good component of that would be like your internet provider and your server. So if you don't have any of those, it's going to be extremely difficult to be able to put out. But servers get really expensive to try to maintain and try to keep up with and all that. We had a lot of people submitting music because I just put out a cold call and I was just telling people, hey, you're from Houston, send us your music. And then I would have a lot of people that'd be like, I'm from California, is it okay? I'll be like, I'm sorry, no. I can't do that, you know. But like for the people who were from Houston and stuff like that, like we have a lot of talent here, whether it's hip hop, rock, or like weird alternative music where it's just a couple of sounds. Like it sounds good. It sounds like, like I don't know. I would find myself listening to the radio a lot, right? But unfortunately, it got a little bit too expensive at the moment to kind of like be able to keep that up. We're trying to bring it back, but with more components to it, and away from the YouTube platform. I could explain it, but it'll kind of give it away a little bit.
Understandable.
But, yeah.
But no, but I feel I feel your struggle without you saying so much. I feel your struggle, man, because this with the podcast, it's another thing. You know, you just put it on a distribution website and copy the link and whatever and follow the individual platforms agreements. But oh my God, you are not lying when you said that takes a lot of maintenance. Oh
because even with podcasts, like you start getting to the RSS feeds and stuff like that, and then you're like, wait, what? And then you could get a lot more technical into it, and then start looking at your analytics and your, demographics and stuff like that. And then you start incorporating all that stuff. And then apparently there's software that you could use to help you with all that and all that. And then it gets convoluted into this whole thing. Cause like, again, we live in a technological age, know? So it's like, yes, it's easier for, the average Joe to be able to do this. But at the same time, you got to have a certain level of understanding, and you have to have that kind of like motivation to be out there trying to learn how to do all this. Like you had mentioned, like if I wear a lot of hats, I pretty much know everything from music production to like handling computers, programming, websites, photography. I don't know, you name it. I'm trying to get into it because I know how difficult it is to, try to find that those answers on your own and stuff like that. So if I could provide that for my artists, I know it's going to cut their, not creative time, but like their time that they're researching this in half, and then they could get back to like creating their music or being inspired and feeling like, oh yeah, no, so that's figured out. Let's go write a song or something like that, right? So it's like, I'm trying to take care of all that so that they don't have to take care of that. And like me, I'm a big old nerd.
Yeah.
I'm a big old nerd. I love learning. I love everything. Like I could like my fiance, she actually like wants to strangle me sometimes because I'll just be like, did you know that in 1412 this was happening? And this and this and this. And then she'll be like, baby, I don't care. I'll be like, I know, but I'm just letting you know. I'll just say, And then like I'll be telling her about plants because I also garden the garden, So I also garden as well. And I'll be like, right now I have huitzlicoche, which is like a Mexican fungus that grows on corn. I got so excited I was telling her about it. I'm like, yeah, so it has lysine in it and it has protein. So it's like usually corn is very hard to digest, but with this, it's a lot easier, blah, blah. I'm literally going on a rant. And then she's like, when did you find this out? I'm like, just 10 minutes ago. So I love learning. I love like it's no burden on me to like go out and do all of this stuff for my artists. Like I love educating myself in a variety of subjects. I enjoy it thoroughly. So it's like every time I get a chance to be able to do anything along the capacity of like my artists introducing me to new ideas, I'm like, let's get to work right now. So I really enjoy going out of my way to like learn extra stuff and all this and all that. So that's how I try to help them. But it kind of gets my fix, I try to like, tell them what else do you need help with, and I end up learning a thing or two. So yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, man.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
I mean, I feel like I learned a whole bunch in this hour, man. My goodness. Now,
honestly, it didn't even feel like an hour.
I mean, I was just enthralled with the conversation. Yeah. And I mean, if I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing on Pro Tools, I'd be taking notes too. But good thing that I recorded so I can go back and take some notes.
Yeah. No, one thing, I'm working on getting our website back, and I have a series of articles just like designed to help starting artists, like for the people who can like reach out to me personally or stuff like that. I do have that content available. If any artists out there is listening to us and they want more information about it, I'm not stingy with my information. I would love to give you whatever information I do have, but you could reach me at the Garden 713 on Instagram. That'll be like the best way to do it. I don't give out my personal anymore. So yeah, reach me out through there. I'll help you with anything I can, with whatever capacity it is that I can.
Well, y'all heard it from the man himself. Okay. All you got to do is walk through that beautiful garden door. Mm-hmm. All right. He's going to welcome you with open arms.
And some corn.
Okay. All right. Yeah. If you watch Nacho Libre, corn has a porn.
Very important. Yes.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this week. And we will talk to you guys next week. Peace.
Later.